Hello, welcome to the Martial Arts and Psychology podcast. My name is Eric. I practice Taekwondo. I have a Bachelor's of Science in Psychology from the University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign, and I'm currently a master's level student in clinical mental health counseling. And today's topic for the Martial Arts and Psychology podcast, or MAP as I like to call it, is Western culture versus Eastern culture and their attitudes towards a couple of different things I want to talk about. So let's get started, shall we? So there's a couple of main differences between Eastern culture and Western culture. I'm going to cover, I'll do Western culture and Eastern culture versus a couple. I have three different topics here that I want to cover. I'm going to try to keep this a little bit brief. So the first topic that I'll cover is West versus East attitude towards mind and body. So this one's might be a little bit brief, but just pay attention. Class is in session now. So the first topic is mind and body. So in the West, we think of mind and body as two separate things. We have our brain and then we have our body. And then in the East, the main difference is that the mind and body are together. There's no difference between the mind and body. It's just all one together system. So to me, that was really interesting when I figured that out, or when I learned that, because in the West, there's just like, we have mental health, and then we have, or some people call it behavioral health, and then we have like physical health. And for some reason, we treat that differently, and I don't really know why. But in the East, and by East I mean China, Japan, Korea, Vietnam, Cambodia, Thailand, Malaysia, Indonesia, just the East. It's mostly Southeast Asia and Eastern Asia, and just mainland Asia, just mainly China and India. They all look at the mind and body as one whole, and I think that's like, I'm not saying one way of thinking is better than another, but it does make sense to me why. Like it makes, in the West, it makes sense to me why it's separated, because we think of our physical health as just like, are you taking your medication? Like, are you exercising? Are you eating right? Are you drinking enough water? Are you getting enough sleep? That kind of thing. And then we treat our, like, how we act and behave as a mental thing. And in the East, they treat that as, like I said, it's all one system. So like, your gut is your second brain, basically. Like, I've heard that been said. Like, I think that's a Western thing. I don't know, but we can learn a lot about. Also, I'm Western. I grew up in America, USA. So I have that perspective, but I try to be more well-rounded and look at everything. I pick and choose what I like to believe in, because that's just how I like to live my life. You may want to subscribe to a particular religion or something like that, and just take all those views and make that your own. But I like to pick and choose, and this is how I'm doing it personally. So the mind and body in the mind and body in the West is two separate things, and in the East, they are together. It's one whole. Moving on, looking at family. I just call it the family. And in the West, we are individualistic, and in the East, they're collectivistic. So what does that mean? Well, in the West, we think that me, as an individual, I have to do what's right for myself all the time. Also, these are just generalities. Not everybody thinks this way. This is just like the Western, like European mindset. And also by the West, I mean like European, American, probably South African, Australian, probably Canadian. Just how we do, basically white people. And this is, I guess I kind of identify as white. I guess today I can identify as white, but I'm Jewish, so it's like kind of up in the air what we are. Jews of all flavors, I guess you could say. But we, in the West, we think of the family as like groups of like a bunch of individuals that live together. Is how it goes, and we butt heads and all this stuff, and everybody kind of goes their separate ways as we become an adult, and some don't respect their parents, some respect their parents. Just really depends on the individual, which like European country they hail from in America. Like, because not all white people are the same. Like, there's Italian Americans, there's Irish, there's Greek, there's all sorts of white people, and they're kind of all lumped together because the skin color is the same. But white people are truly not one culture if you think about it, which is kind of controversial to say, but I've studied a little bit of this, and I've learned that like if you ask white people what they are, some will say white, but others will say they're German or they're Italian or they're this or that, and I think we should be mindful of that. Yeah, not all white people are the same. Surprise. Just like not all Asian people and not all black people and not all any Hispanic people are the same. Everybody has their own culture. But in the East, they're collectivists. So that means that the family is like the family unit is one, or like the individual isn't as important as the system's harmony. So the immediate system's harmony. So like your family is most important, and then your village, your city or whatever, your team, your small team is very important, and they put lots of importance on that. Now, I think there's a big difference between Japan in particular and a lot of the other Asian cultures, because Japan is more of a, I heard that they're a colonizing country, or an imperial country, which means they like to go out and conquer other lands, and throughout history they've done this, and that made them more individualistic. But they're still collectivists to a degree, and they have a lot of things to work out. I'm not going to pretend to be a Japanese expert, but I have taken classes on Japanese culture and things like that. But the thing is, most of Asia, they're collectivist, and some American cultures are as well, like Mexicans, black people, African Americans. There's many. So, like, these are just broad generalities. But what I'm saying is, when we talk about East versus West, I have to make these generalizations. So, we're painting in broad strokes, if you will. And so the collectivist, the East is collectivist, meaning like they think the group is more important than yourself. That might mean suppressing what you want for the betterment of your family, or to bring honor. Like think about Mulan. You'll bring honor to us all, etc., etc. They think in that way. In general, I'm sure there are many individualistic people in the East and collectivistic people in the West. So, like I'm saying, all right. Moving on. Next topic we're going to talk about is religion. So, those are the three topics that I came up with: mind and body, family and religion. And I might think of another one as we go. So in the religion, the way we think about religion, in the West, religion is organized. And I'm thinking mainly like Christianity, Islam, Judaism, Sikhism, and there's many others that are organized. And then in the East, religion is much more it's eclectic. I termed it. Religion in the East is eclectic. So, like, religion as a concept of, like, it's like a broad, like, category that people pay attention to in the West, versus in the East, religion is more philosophy. It's more philosophical based. I meet a lot of ex-Christians that say, like, I'm not religious, because they were brought up to pay attention to Christianity. They disagreed with something in there, whatever it was, and then so they just shun all spirituality and religion and just say, I'm atheist now, or I'm agnostic, or something like that. There's lots of, in the West, we like to label things, like give things names. So, like, I'm agnostic, meaning I'm not, but I'm agnostic meaning I don't know what I believe, but I know there's a greater power. Atheist means I shun all religion and believe in only science. And then, like, there's being religious, which means to me that means you subscribe to a particular, Western religion. And then being spiritual means, like, you have your own relationship with a higher power, or collection of higher powers, or what have you. That's what, to me, religion is like in the West. And then in the East, they, like, if you look at the Vedic texts of Hinduism, and like the Bhagavad Gita, and if you look at the Tao Te Ching written by Lao Tzu of China, by the way, much of Eastern culture originated in China, and it kind of radiated out from there thousands of years ago. So there's that. Like I was saying, the religion of the East is eclectic, meaning they're I guess the Western people would call them spiritual. They honor their ancestors. They honor dead relatives, grandfathers, grandmothers, etc. Like great grandmother, great grandfather, things like that. Like great people in their family, they give offerings to and pray to them and things like that. There's Confucianism and filial piety, or filial piety. I'm not sure how to say it, but they have a culture of respecting their elders. And that's where it kind of ties right into the respecting their ancestors. Apologize if my talking is all over the place. I'm also driving right now on the highway, which is, I don't recommend, but I should be fine because it's just one road. Anyway, they also believe in Taoism, which I think that's the closest to an organized religion you can get besides Buddhism. And okay, you can say Buddhism is also an organized religion. And Buddhism been very influential throughout China and Japan in particular, and and Japan kind of invented its own form of Buddhism, Zen Buddhism, and I forget what it's called. There's other there's other forms of Japanese Buddhism if you're interested in it. It's really a fascinating topic. And Buddhism, of course, stemmed from Hinduism. Hinduism is the main religion of one of the main religions of India, and from India, Buddhism came. Maybe just sort of like a dissatisfaction of the lower classes with Hinduism because they were in the lower castes, and they were like, this isn't for us, and they wanted more acceptance. And then Buddhism came in, and it was really popular, and still is today. And if you didn't know, Christianity stemmed from Judaism, just like Islam stemmed from Judaism. They're all the same. It's all the same God, you could argue. Like Christianity uses the 5 books of Moses as the Old Testament, and then I don't know if they use the Nevi'im or Ketuvim, but they use their New Testament to describe the life and times of Jesus and his followers and etc. In Islam, it stems from Ishmael, who changed his name to the Prophet Muhammad, and sparked that major world religion. I know next to nothing about Sikhism or Zoroastrianism or some other more. But yeah, we're talking about West versus East. But I find religion very fascinating as a topic, and I know that's one of the things you're not supposed to discuss at the dinner table, but if you get me started, I will not stop. And so, let's see. I'm trying to think of one more major difference between East versus West. Seems to me like, I'm not sure, like, oh yeah, okay, I know one more. In the West, communication style is more direct, and in the East, it's more indirect. So this is like very pervasive, actually. In the West, if you, like with white people in particular, if you ask them a question, they'll, without any thought, they'll just tell you what the answer is. Like we're very direct in general. And in the East, they'll kind of dance around it's called being indirect. They'll kind of dance around the answer, and because they have a culture of just humility, is huge. So they, like in the West, the old saying is the squeaky wheel gets the grease. So if you make a stir, you're going to get the attention and the praise, etc. But in the East, the saying is the nail that sticks out gets the hammer. So like, or gets hammered down. So they think that if you stand out, you're going to get the punishment. So that's exactly why they like to be collectivist. And so that's going to be the topic for today. Sorry I didn't have a guest this time. I have been kind of, life has been happening to me like it always does. Anyway, I'm going to move on to my quote of the day, which is, and I'm sorry about the lack of video. I am driving right now, and I just had to squeeze this in because it's been weeks since I've done one of these, and I wanted to get it done because I want to keep this going. So, okay, my quote is, "It is not practice makes perfect, but instead it's perfect practice makes perfect." So, I'll read that one more time. It is not practice makes perfect, but instead it's perfect practice makes perfect. So, a coach said that quote to me when I was very young, probably to me very young was like 10 years old. So, I was probably about 10 or 11 years old when a baseball coach told me this, and then proceeded to not train me in how to be a better baseball player. So I don't play baseball anymore. So what that quote means to me is that like in martial arts, if you learn a movement incorrectly, and just like say, oh, during the test I'll do it right, whatever. If you just practice it incorrectly every time, you're just during the test you're just gonna magically do it right. Like, that's not how it works. You have to practice it correctly every time. Now, within reason, like if you're really tired and you're just doing the process, you're learning a new pumse or like something, or you're just drilling stuff just to get reps in, or doing cardio, stuff like that, then it's fine. Nobody, the perfectionism police is not going to stop you and pull you over. Like, there's nobody like going to whip you into shape unless you have like a authoritarian coach or something. We should all be so lucky, right? But a good instructor will correct you the first time, within reason. Like, if let's say you're a white belt and you're just learning, you're just dipping your toes into martial arts, they're gonna be way more forgiving, and they're happy with just like you getting the pumse in the process in. Because in my school, HMD Academy of Taekwondo, each belt has a focus. So white belt focus is process. That means you do all the movements in succession, and if you're able to do that, that's good enough for the yellow belt. Because it is hard. Because you're in a new environment doing a new hobby, and that deserves enough praise as it is. So I got white belt just after my first month. We learned all just white belt pumse from our school, and all the other requirements at the time. This was years ago. That I got my yellow belt, which yellow belt is the most important one to get, in my opinion. So, and other people have said that too. It really is, because you find yourself, wow, I did it, I got the yellow belt. It was not so hard, and then you are hooked from there. That's how they get you. The first one's free, right, drug dealers? Okay. Anyways, I'm going to wrap it up, but thanks for listening to the podcast. I really, really appreciate you guys liking, commenting, subscribing, and if you're really cool, you'll share this. Just do 2 of those things. You know, like and comment, like and share. Just like it. It takes literally a half a second. I would really appreciate that. And since I'm alone, I'm going to do my own shameless plug. Buy my new book. It's going to be coming out soon. I'll make the decision. I'm going to put it on Amazon. I think, and I haven't decided yet. But my new book is going to be called. It's called Dragon Fang. It's all written. It's all formatted. I got my first hard copy. I'm just going to have it edited one more time, and it's going to be ready to go. I got the art for the back. I just got to do a little bit more. And anyway, I'm awful at marketing, but here I go, rambling. So buy my book. It's called Dragon Fang. It's my my pseudonym Drell, Drell. Yeah, look out for that. And yeah, I'll be sharing a link on this video once I get that done, and just look out for that. I appreciate that. So again, like, comment, subscribe, and you guys take care, and you have a good day.